have to understand that as a result of the greed, recklessness, and illegal behavior on Wall Street, our country was plunged into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression of the 1930s. What we have got to tell Wall Street right now is that if a financial institution is too big to fail, it is too big to exist. We need a financial system in which banks are lending money to small and medium-sized businesses so they can create decent-paying jobs. We don't need a financial institution, a financial system, which is an island unto itself, solely preoccupied by making billions of dollars for a handful of people. There are so many issues that are of enormous importance to the American people, but there is one issue that touches on every other issue. And let me be as blunt as I can be and tell you that as a result of the disastrous Supreme Court decision in the Citizens United case, the American political system has been totally corrupted, and the foundations of American democracy are being undermined. I wish I did not have to tell you that. I really do. But that is the simple truth. What the Supreme Court said 5 years ago is they said to the millionaires and billionaires in this country, they said, okay guys, you already own much of America. Now we're going to give you the opportunity to buy the United States government, and that is what they are now trying to do. There is, just as one example, Koch brothers are the second wealthiest family in America. This is an extremely right-wing family. They want to end Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, federal aid to education. This one family will spend $900 million in this election cycle helping and trying to elect candidates who will represent the rich and the powerful. This is more money, this $900 million, than either the Democratic Party or the Republican Party will spend. When you have one family spending more money than either of the two major political parties, brothers and sisters, this is not called democracy. This is called oligarchy, and we have got to stop it.
Burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it.
I have not made a whole lot of campaign promises during this campaign so far, but let me make one to you. And that is that any person that I nominate to be a Supreme Court justice will have to pass a litmus test. And that litmus test is that he or she will make it absolutely clear that their first order of business on the Supreme Court will be to overturn Citizens United. But we have got to go further than that. In my view, if we are serious about having a vibrant democracy, something I believe in very much, I really don't care if people agree with me or they disagree with me. People fought and died to create a nation in which all of us help shape the future. I want to see every person here and throughout the country, whether you're conservative, whether you're moderate, whether you are progressive, I want to see you be able to run for office, if that is your bent, without having to beg money from millionaires and billionaires. And that's what a vibrant democracy is about. It's you getting up there and saying, look, this is what I believe in, and I want to serve, and I want to argue my point of view. I want each and every one of you who feel that you'd like to get in public service be able to do that and succeed based on your ideas and abilities, not on the amount of money you collect from wealthy people. And when we talk about democracy, let me mention this. A couple of weeks ago, I was in an event with Martin Luther King III. And what we were there doing was celebrating the 50th anniversary of one of the most important pieces of legislation passed in modern history, the Voting Rights Act. And what the Voting Rights Act said, as all of you know, is that after decades and decades of racist discrimination, the Voting Rights Act said enough is enough. In America, everybody has the right to vote regardless of the color of your skin. But as some of you know, 2 years ago, the United States Supreme Court gutted a key provision of the Voting Rights Act. And what happened? What happened is that in Republican states, Republican governors and legislatures went to work trying to suppress the vote. In other words, what they did very consciously, and everybody knows this, is try to make it harder for low-income people, people of color, older people, who would vote against them. They try to make it harder for these people to participate in the political process. Now, I happen to believe that when you run for office, you should have the confidence that your ideas will prevail, that you win elections based on your ideas and your abilities. You don't win elections, in my view, by being a coward denying people who disagree with you the right to vote. And that is why we have introduced legislation that would allow every person in this country 18 years of age or older to be registered to vote.
Yeah!
I know I'm here on a college campus, and let me talk about an issue that concerns families all over this country. Everybody knows that we are living in a highly competitive global economy. We need the best educated workforce in the world if we're going to succeed.
Yeah!
And young people, that is you. And what that means is it is totally absurd, totally counterproductive to the future of this country that hundreds of thousands of bright young people who have the ability, who have the desire to get a higher education are unable to do so for one reason: their family lacks the income. That is why I have introduced legislation that would make every public college and university in this country tuition free.
Bernie!
That is not a radical idea. That is a common sense idea.
Yeah!
Think about all of the intellectual capabilities that we are losing when young people are not able to get the education they need because their family doesn't have enough money. Think about the lives that are shattered because people cannot get a college education. Furthermore, we are going to deal with this outrageous situation of high student debt. We have millions of Americans, some young and some not so young, who are being crushed by high student debt, paying off 25% of their limited incomes back to the government based on their loans. Now, it doesn't make much sense to me for people to be paying 6, 8, 10% interest rates on student loans when you can refinance your home for 2, 3, 4%. So our legislation says people with student debt can refinance at the lowest interest rates they can find. It also says that the United States government should be out of the business of profiteering on student debt. Now, people say to me, well, Bernie, that's a great idea, but it's a pretty expensive idea. They're right. It's about $70 billion a year. It's a lot of money. How are we going to pay for it? I'll tell you how. The working class and the middle class of this country bailed out Wall Street. Now it is time to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. It is time for Wall Street to come to the aid of working families. When we talk about our responsibilities as human beings, as adults, as parents, there is nothing that I can think of more important than that we leave this planet in a way that is habitable to our kids and our grandchildren. The debate is over. The scientific community, and I'm on the environmental committee and the energy committee. The debate is over. The scientific community is virtually unanimous in telling us climate change is real. Yes. It's caused by human activity. It is already causing devastating problems in our country and all over the world. In my view, the United States must lead the world, working with China, Russia, India, and other countries, lead the world in transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency. And I want to tell you how campaign finance impacts just that one issue, not to mention many other issues. We have today the Republican Party, which controls the House and the Senate. There are very few Republicans who are prepared to acknowledge the reality of climate change, let alone propose ideas to seriously address it. Why is that? And the answer is not that Republicans don't believe science. The answer is that Republicans are dependent on the Koch brothers and big energy campaign contributions. And what I would say to my Republican colleagues, stop worrying about your campaign contributors, start worrying about your kids and your grandchildren. And there's another issue that we have to address. When I talk about what goes on in other countries around the world, let me mention, I live in Burlington, Vermont. Yeah, Burlington! All right. It's 1 hour from the Canadian border. Turns out that in Canada, all people have health care is a right. Turns out that in Germany, in France, in the UK, in Scandinavia, in virtually every major country on earth, health care is a right, not a privilege. In my view, The United States must join the rest of the industrialized world and guarantee health care to all people as a right through a Medicare for all single-payer program. When we talk about bringing people together, it is important for all of us to understand that today in America, there are 11 million undocumented people. In my strong opinion, we have got to bring people out of the shadows. We have got to provide legal rights to the undocumented. We have got to pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship.
Yeah!
You know, and I'll tell you something else. I am awfully tired about seeing Republicans trying to divide people up. That's what they always do. The Republicans are a party that want to cut Social Security, they want to cut Medicare, they want to cut Medicaid, they want to cut education, and they want to give huge tax breaks to billionaires. And they know that they can't win elections on a program like that. So what do? What they do is they try to divide us up. And one way they are trying to divide us up now is by trying to separate undocumented people from people who are born in this country. That is wrong. We have got to stand together and provide a path towards citizenship. And let me touch on another issue. In my view, in this country over the last many decades, we have made significant progress in trying to end discrimination. 20, 30 years ago, very few people would have believed that America would be mature enough to overcome its racist history and elect an African American as President of the United States. We did that. We have made progress in overcoming sexism, and in the last 10 years, we have made huge progress in the struggle for gay rights. We should be proud of it. But let us be very clear that if anyone here thinks that we still do not have a long way to go to overcoming racism in this country, you would be very mistaken. I know that I speak for everyone in saying that we will not accept seeing unarmed African Americans shot in the back or dragged out of cars, thrown into jail. I was a mayor for 8 years, and I worked very closely with the police. Being a cop today is a very difficult job, and most police officers do it well. But when a police officer, like any other public official, breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable.
Yeah!
And we need also to understand that our criminal justice system is broken. We should not be having local police departments around the country in heavily militarized forms. What I did and many other mayors around the country are trying to do is move toward community policing, where police are part of the community, not seen as oppressors.
Yeah!
We want police departments that look like the communities they are serving. We want to take a hard look at the use of force We want to deal with minimum sentencing. Too many lives have been destroyed for non-violent issues. People have been sent to jail, have police records. We have got to change that. Our job is to keep people out of jail, not in jail. And I'll tell you something else. When Congress reconvenes in September, I will be offering legislation, introducing legislation, which takes corporations out of profiteering from running jails.
Yeah!
And what we also need to do is to understand that when people are in jail, we need a rational path for them to return to civil society. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that if somebody leaves jail without an education, without a job, without money, without housing, and sometimes with mental health issues, that person is going to return to jail. Yep. Makes no sense to me. So we have got to provide a path toward dignity and back into civil society for those people who are leaving jail. I began my remarks by telling you that this is not just about me. It really is not. I can't do it. There has to be a political revolution where every person here and every person in America appreciates that democracy is not a spectator sport where you're watching somebody else do it. Democracy is you. Woo! And that means that you have got to work hard and you got to grab your friends who think that the issues we're talking about today are not important. You got to shake them and say, somebody has been telling you a crock. These issues are important. They're about the future of your life. You, that's right. Maybe you should get some new friends. And you have got to go to your Republican friends who I think do not understand what the Republican Party is really about, and ask them, do you really think it is a good idea to give tax breaks to billionaires and cut Pell Grants, cut nutrition programs, cut Social Security and Medicare? Start talking to them. What I need and would like to see from all of you is to think big, not think small. Think about the kind of nation that we can become. We can be a nation which leads the world in very difficult times, trying to create peace, not war. Very shortly, there will be a vote in Congress about the president's proposal, his negotiated agreement, to make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon, but to do it in a way without war. I support the president's initiative.
Yeah!
When we think big, what we are talking about is envisioning a nation in which every American has health care as a right. Woo! When we think big, we are thinking of America leading the world in transforming our energy system and fighting climate change.
Yeah!
When we think big and understand that in this country, the wealthiest in the history of the world, we can have the best child care system in the world. Every person should be able to get to college if they have the ability. That's thinking big.
Woo!
When we think big, we understand that in this great country, 45 million of our fellow Americans should not be living in abysmal poverty. And when we think big, we understand that nobody, no matter their race, their religion, their disability, or their sexual orientation, should not be able to realize the full potential of being an American.
Yeah!
When we come together, when we think big, when we are prepared to take on the billionaire class, when we are prepared to do all of that, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. Let's go forward together.
Woo!